And it's just total criminal takeover.
They get these conglomerates.
And they do these fake choices. It can all be toll road or only part. What do you want? And again, while they block all the other roads being built and steal all the money, they have a surplus in Texas. It's total criminality.
No, they're the masters of the false left-right paradigm. It's not just Obama and Romney. It's Coke and Pepsi meet at Bilderberg. It's one writer at Bilderberg says, let's use diplomacy in Syria. The other writer says, let's bomb them right now today.
And let's starve them, Fareed Zakaria.
Exactly.
I mean, these people are unbelievable. They're masters of controlling a fake paradigm, a false reality. It's like going to Disney World. It's its own city. It's its own town. It's fake. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
This, and again, look up Disney World Pentagon Laboratory. You'll find out the whole thing's a Pentagon laboratory. For Fallujah, and you're like, Fallujah, how to lock a city down, how to have biometrics, and you're paying to be part of a laboratory. I mean, these people are unbelievable.
The more you read into this, the more you see that the CIA just bleeds over into the Rand Corporation, bleeds over into Bilderberg. These people
admit Google's NSA created, as I told you, decades. I mean, this all here.
Yeah, and they have huge conglomerates to suck out the profits while they make the public pay for infrastructure. Mitch Daniels, again, not only did the toll road, he put a new tax.
Yeah, so there's really not just the government. There's this corporate private state where they're now transferring its power over to it completely, calling it privatization. That's why they're flirting with libertarians, because it's a fake libertarian system.
Oh, but privatization, Mitch Daniels put a new tax on the people of Indiana so they could build sports stadiums, the Lucas Oil Stadium, the Indiana Convention Center.
Which, again, is a psych warfare center.
Tax
which they can
on
also
liquor
use to put them in the camp, yeah.
It was a tax on liquor, though, so it sounds like he's doing something good. But the point is, he's a continuation of Quayle and Bush. I didn't even get into how they rigged the FDA so they could approve biotech, sell vaccines unapproved by the FDA overseas.
Nanotech is already in most people's brains. It's in hundreds of foods. They're put engineered into it. We've all been hit with cancer viruses. We'll be back with Mike Adams straight ahead. Final segment before I hand the baton to Mike Adams. I'm Alex Jones of Prisonplanet.tv. Live video feed free.
Are you still a traditional...
I don't want any shackles on my baby, shackles on my wife. You New World Order, why don't you get the you-know-what out of my life? Paraphrasing Jimmy Vaughn there. Now, I wanted to bring Rob Jacobson in because I didn't get to bed till about 2:30 last night. Aaron's in there. 7 a.m., I hear him start yelling. And I went out and saw some of the TV myself. The mayor of London saying, you Americans, you shouldn't even have this, be able to celebrate this like we can. You made a big mistake in 1776. Queen is so incredible. That's a big news item right there. And our media's like, oh, yes, we're so sorry. And it's just everywhere. And at the little hotel we're at, people are watching it down there at breakfast going, Queen, Queen. I mean, this is not even a Brit, not even a German. It's Transylvanian royalty. It's mainstream media. They're total globalist criminals. They live off the dole. Prince Philip's a Nazi. And they've got people, that guy on CNN, incredible. She's eating soup right now. Look at her. She stood up and waved. The honor, the courage. Here come the... I mean, you describe it better than I. This is total Twilight Zone, not just for England. I mean, in the last 800 years, they hate the royalty on majority. But here, the Americans really believe it's like Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. No, she's the big bad witch, folks. We only got a few minutes, Jacobson, but describe what you've been witnessing for people that are out there, because it's. I mean, they're all witnessing it as well. I mean, this is just insane.
All right, thanks, Alex. Yeah, I woke up early this morning, as I usually do on these trips, and I went downstairs, and of course the TV's playing, like right in the middle of the dining area. And the first thing I see is CBS Morning Today, their morning show. It's not their cable show, but it's their regular broadcast show, and they have the mayor of London on, and they're like, "We're going, here we are with the mayor of London," and they're showing scenes of London of everybody cheering the Queen and everybody, hey! And then they cut to
your imitations. It's funny.
Oh yeah, they cut to the mayor, and he's like, "You people, the biggest mistake you Americans made was back in 1776." And the CBS crew was like, "Ah ha ha ha! You are so correct. Oh, if only we were able to not make that mistake." And the worship just continued from there. I mean, I was disgusted.
Now they have articles in the Philadelphia newspaper like, the Constitution. Is the Declaration bad? British experts say, perhaps we don't have a right to revolt. Declaration of Independence, bad.
Yeah, I was sitting there in the middle of that room. I'm like, well, where am I? And the biggest mistake that we have made was 1776 because we don't get to bow down and worship this lady.
You don't get to properly enjoy it, but it goes on and on. I mean,
all right, David,
got a page of notes.
I got a couple of pages here. Like David Cameron, they do an interview with him, and he won't talk about actual issues, Syria, the economy. No. He will only focus in on the Queen.
Oh, the Queen.
And she's not officially part of government, but she's there for all the decisions, and they strongly take her recommendations at every left turn.
By the way, she runs the whole thing. She has governor generals.
Exactly.
Who can just nix the whole deal whenever she wants in all the commonwealths. Continue.
I couldn't even believe what I was listening to. Then our press, CBS, is like, oh, and the British do it so much better than us. Oh, my God. Even though they have rings of security just like us, they're so much more civilized. You actually walk up to 10 Downing Street and knock on the door.
No, they have guys, I've been there, they have guys with machine guns and ban citizens out on the main road from any free speech. We have it on video. No free speech in certain zones, just like in Australia, they arrest you.
Yeah, and
the freedom the Queen gives us.
Oh, and how civilized. You knock on the door and somebody answers, and it happens to be David Cameron.
And it's all just a giant psyop effect.
Like as if they weren't expecting her. Like people are. I guess people are that.
Tells our military what to do. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean. Just like, you reminded me this morning, like it's very similar to a North Korean situation where they're all phoning crying. It's all these people are celebrating.
Oh, the Queen.
The Queen.
They make you go out and worship the Kim Jong-il's son, or you get arrested. And then, it's like, it's exactly the same.
And then they cut back to the studio, and it's like the Queen should be praised for standing up. She was standing there in front of her people, like they're her pets, Oh, her people, she's identifying with her people. And my question is...
you're not allowed to have British or UK patriotism. They even say don't have the King George flag. It's evil. But you're only allowed to have patriotism when it's worshiping your foreign murdering monarch.
Yeah, I mean, this woman has nothing to do with us in this country as far as I knew. But now it's like...
Almost out of points. Hit your other one.
All right, so, I mean, the jellyfish media, of course, they went on to... praise the rain. Oh, it rained for the Queen. The rain was actually a character. So I went on to do a little bit of research just to see what kind of damage this is doing for the Brits. And turned out that they closed the bank and called it a banker holiday. So this thing, besides all of the rest of it, is costing the Brits $1.2 billion in debt for closing the banks for one day. And all those Brits are cheering and screaming, yay!
That's just the idiots they have come out and do it. And it's so sad. They think that's all that's left of England. That's the only time they're allowed to cheer is for their foreign pig monarch. All right, folks, more on Bilderberg coming up. Mike Adams straight ahead and Jim Mars. Continue to watch us at Infowars.com.
We're on the march. The Empire.
All right, welcome back, folks, to the Alex Jones Show on this Monday, June 4th, 2012. You just heard some powerful segments with Alex Jones, Aaron Dykes, Rob Jacobson, all on the road right now, returning from Chantilly, Virginia. Wow, a lot of hard-hitting breaking news coming out of there. The important thing to realize is, and by the way, Jim Mars is going to be joining us here in just a second, but the important thing to realize in all this is that this is not fiction. This is not conspiracy theory. The meeting took place. The world leaders are there. They are the global mafia. They control the banks. They control the technology. They control the search engines. They control the economy. They control all the rules and regulations and laws, and even the non-laws that they use, that they invoke to try to control us. I mean, they control the food. They control the drugs, the pesticides, the chemical companies, petroleum, energy, everything. You name it, and they have an agenda, which is to reduce human population down to maybe 1 billion people or so, maybe more. That's the only part that's debated, is how many of us do they want gone, not whether they do or not. So here to join us with some thoughts on all of this is author, researcher, investigative journalist Jim Mars. He's the author of many books, including The $1 Trillion Conspiracy. It's all about zombie banks and much more. He joins us by phone today with his analysis of what has just happened in Virginia and what it means for our future as people try to survive on planet Earth. Jim, welcome to the show today.
Hey, Mike, thank you so much for having me.
It's good to have you on, man.
It's really amazing. It's quite an epiphany for me because, of course, I've been talking about the Bilderbergers for many years now, and particularly in my book, Ruled by Secrecy, which was published in 2000, and of course written in the 90s. Back then, when I tried to tell people about Bilderberg, it's like, what? What's that? What?
Yeah.
And then you try to talk to the media, and they're, nothing there. Don't look at that. Don't look behind the green curtain, you know. And today, I mean, I think the reason that they had to meet in Chantilly, Virginia, is because last year when they met in Switzerland, the European media was all over them, including even some Swiss politicians who showed up unannounced saying, "Hey, what are you guys doing in there?" You know, they kind of pulling an Alex Jones.
Yeah.
And this year they decided, well, let's get back to America where we can keep a close, tight rein on the media. And, of course, that doesn't include Alex. He's going to go where he wants to go.
Yes, indeed.
Which is great. That's what the milquetoast slamballs who call themselves journalists today, that's what they should be doing. They should be pounding down the door saying, what the heck are you folks doing in there?
Yeah, well, you think about this. If there was any meeting of any other group of professionals, you know, 100 baseball players, 100 actors, 100 scientists from NASA, it would be covered by the media. But for some reason,
it'd go ballistic. I mean,
sure.
Just think about it, Mike. What if all the owners of the National Football League franchises met in a hotel under armed guard for a week, and then came out and wouldn't tell anybody what they talked about? Oh man, they'd be screaming restraint of trade, you know, and just all kinds of stuff. They just go nuts. They say, you know, this is a monopoly. You know, y'all are. This is terrible. But here you got the people who are actually trying to run the world, and they get a pass.
Yeah. But also, think about this, Jim, too. In not covering this and in denying it, the mainstream dinosaur media has only further discredited itself, because now every reasonable, rational person that's observing these events can say, wait a minute, this really happened. You know, InfoWars has all the footage, all the real-time transmissions and broadcasts, everything. Yeah. This really happened. These people are there. The photographs of these world leaders, supposed leaders, scum that we like to call them here at InfoWars, leaving the event. The event is real. It really took place, and the media says it's not real. They won't cover it. How more discredited could they get?
Well, I saw recently where CNN has lost like almost 50% of its listeners, and this is why. Because they are nothing more than just propaganda organs for the corporate state, and people are beginning to realize it. And this is what the good news is, Mike. This is really good news. I mean, we're talking about it. More people are waking up, and there are a lot more of us than there are of them. And this is why they want to reduce the world's population. But if the world's population, even 10 or 20% of us, got wide awake, realized what the game plan was, and simply put our foot down and said, no, we're not going to go with this, then they're out of business, right?
Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad you pointed out that's the silver lining in all of this. You know, Alex is great at uncovering the truth of what's going on and showing the threat. At the same time, the flip side of what he's doing and what the entire crew here is doing and what people like you and I do and others like us is we also show the power of the individual, the power of telling the truth, the power of speaking out, the power of just showing up. I mean, you know, 80% of the battle is just showing up, right? Look at what Alex did with the bullhorn. He didn't have a firearm on him. He wasn't armed, but he made history with a bullhorn and just the will to just confront the nonsense and assert his constitutional rights right there on the scene. Think about the power that we have as a nation if more people would just be like Alex.
Yep. Well, you know, it's like the old children's story about the emperor's new clothes. All it took was one little boy to say, hey, the emperor hadn't got any clothes on. And everybody went, oh, holy crap, that's right. The emperor doesn't have any clothes on. And that's what we're doing today.
Yeah.
Not ranting and raving, not trying to change everything, just simply saying, look what's going on today. It's not right. It's ridiculous. And, we need to all wake up. But it's kind of happening. It really is. I'll give you a good example. I was just seeing a thing here. I know I drive a little Prius. It's a hybrid, okay? And I'm getting pretty good mileage, getting 46 miles a gallon, something like that. And, that's good. But I've seen a thing today where